In the God-gifted geography of Pakistan, among its mighty mountains, fertile plains, and the flowing rivers, lies the Ravi, a stream of life that has shaped history and nourished generations. The Ravi River moves slowly through Punjab, winding across the plains as it has for centuries. But today it carries more than water. It carries memory, history, and the burden of human choices. For thousands of years, its banks nurtured crops, sustained wildlife, and supported villages that lived in rhythm with its flow. At dawn, when the mist hovered over its surface, farmers guided their oxen into the fields, drawing water to feed wheat and rice. Fishermen pushed their boats out into the current, confident that the day's catch would feed their families. Children ran freely along the banks, splashing in the shallows, while elders told stories of the river's spirit and its power. It was a river of abundance, its waters flowing clear, its floodplains rich and fertile, its wetlands humming with birds and insects. For generations, people and river coexisted, each shaping the other's destiny. The Ravi was not a resource to be consumed, it was a lifeline to be honored. But as the decades unfolded, the world changed, and with it, the river's fate. The growth of cities, the hunger for land, and the drive for economic expansion placed demands on the Ravi it could not withstand. Factories rose where reeds once grew. Housing colonies spread across the plains, creeping closer to the water's edge. The wetlands, once sponges that absorbed floodwaters and provided sanctuary for wildlife, were drained to make way for roads and concrete. The river, once treated with reverence, became treated as an obstacle or an opportunity for profit. The transformation did not happen all at once. It came gradually, decision by decision, year by year. A factory discharging untreated waste into the current. A housing scheme sanctioned by politicians seeking revenue. A marble quarry in distant hills dumping debris into streams that fed the river. Each choice seemed small in isolation, but together they created a tidal wave of decline. By the early 21st century, many began to call the Ravi a dead river. Its waters darkened, heavy with sewage and industrial discharge. Fish that had once darted through its depths grew scarce. Farmers noticed their soil turning weaker and their harvest smaller. Floods came more frequently and with greater force, their devastation amplified by the very embankments meant to hold them back. Instead of protecting communities, the weakened defenses channeled water into homes and streets, leaving destruction in its wake. Political power was never far from the river's story. Over the years, successive governments allowed or even encouraged encroachment. Parties of different names but similar ambitions framed construction as progress, speaking of jobs, investment, and modern cities. The Pakistan Muslim League and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf both left their mark on the river, sanctioning projects that prioritized profit over preservation. The Ravi Urban Development Authority, or RUDA, became the symbol of this political vision. Announced with fanfare, it promised shining neighborhoods, business centers, and infrastructure of global standards. Yet beneath the promises lay deep flaws. Environmental assessments were ignored, legal permits were absent, and ecological warnings were cast aside. What was presented as beautification threatened to choke the river entirely. The embankments, meant to be the first line of defense against floods, were compromised. Upon them rose houses and markets, structures that weakened their strength and disrupted their function. Floodplains, nature's own safety valves, became neighborhoods and commercial hubs. When heavy rains arrived, as they always have in Punjab, the water had nowhere to go but into the settlements themselves. What had once been a natural cycle of flooding and renewal became a human disaster. The damage extended far beyond urban expansion. In the mountains of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, marble mining carved deep into hillsides. The industry provided jobs and revenue, but the cost was high. Waste from the mines, filled with dust and sediment, was dumped into streams that fed the Ravi. This waste clouded the waters, reduced oxygen levels, and poisoned ecosystems downstream. Fish died. Farmers' fields lost fertility. Calcium carbonate from the debris changed the very character of the soil, reducing productivity and eroding livelihoods. The mining destabilized riverbanks, making them more vulnerable to collapse and erosion. The harm spread silently but relentlessly, weakening the Ravi's lifeblood. As the river's condition worsened, the courts were forced to intervene. In 2022, Justice Karim of the Lahore High Court issued a landmark ruling. After examining the Ravi Riverfront Urban Development Project, he declared it unconstitutional and illegal. His judgment was a striking reminder that rivers are not mere backdrops for development. They are living systems protected by law, and no political agenda has the right to override that protection. His words resonated far beyond the courtroom, affirming that environmental justice is as vital as economic progress. For many, the judgment was a rare victory. It showed that the law could stand against political pressure, that the river could still find defenders in institutions often accused of inaction. Yet a ruling, however powerful, cannot save a river on its own. Implementation and enforcement remain fragile. Developers continue to push forward. Politicians continue to seek loopholes. The Ravi remains under threat despite the court's clear words. The idea of developing the Ravi's riverbanks was rejected by Shahbaz Sharif, who feared the environmental fallout. But when political winds shifted, Imran Khan's government approved the scheme, allowing the project to advance. Later, Mariam Nawaz too continued with the same project, proving that political rivalry often dissolves when development ambitions outweigh ecological concerns. Meanwhile, the human toll grows heavier. Families living in flood-prone housing schemes know their safety is temporary. A heavy storm could undo years of work and savings. Farmers find their livelihoods shrinking as soil quality declines. Fishermen return from long days on the water with empty nets. Communities once defined by abundance now live with anxiety, unsure what each new season will bring. The sound of rain, once a promise of fertility, is now a warning of disaster. The ecological cost is equally profound. Wetlands that once stretched wide along the banks, providing habitat for countless species, are gone. Birds that once nested in reeds have vanished. The delicate balance of ecosystems has been disrupted, reducing biodiversity and silencing landscapes that once thrived with life. The Ravi is no longer the same river that carried songs, rituals, and livelihoods through the centuries. It is a scarred version of itself, still flowing, but burdened by what has been taken from it. And yet, despite everything, the Ravi is not beyond hope. Its waters still move. Its ecosystems, though wounded, retain resilience. Nature has a way of recovering if given space and time. To heal the Ravi requires immediate and decisive action. Strict enforcement of environmental laws must become non-negotiable. Illegal encroachments must be stopped and rolled back where possible. Political actors must be held accountable for the damage done so that future leaders cannot repeat their mistakes without consequence. Beyond enforcement, the people themselves must be brought into the process of protection. Public awareness campaigns can remind citizens that the Ravi is not empty land to be divided and sold. It is a living system that sustains their lives. Schools can teach the next generation that rivers are treasures to be cared for. Communities can participate in conservation efforts, planting trees, cleaning banks, and monitoring encroachments. Sustainable planning must replace reckless ambition. Cities can grow, but they must grow in ways that respect rivers and ecosystems. Housing can be built, but not on floodplains or embankments. Industries can operate, but they must treat their waste responsibly and reduce their impact. Development can be redefined not as domination of nature, but as coexistence with it. The Ravi's story is both specific and universal. It is about one river in one land, but it is also a mirror for rivers around the world facing similar fates. It poses the same question everywhere. Will humanity continue to treat rivers as expendable, or will recognize that they are the foundations of life itself? The answer will decide not only the future of the Ravi, but the future of countless communities and ecosystems across the globe. Today, the Ravi flows at a crossroads. Its waters whisper of the past, of abundance, culture, and harmony, but they also warn of the future if exploitation continues. On one side lies collapse, pollution, floods, displacement, and the death of biodiversity. On the other lies renewal, protection, sustainability, and the possibility of harmony restored. The choice belongs to the present generation, but the consequences will be borne by those yet to come. To let the Ravi die would be to betray not just the river, but history itself. It would mean abandoning a heritage centuries old and handing to future generations only the memory of what once was. To save it is to honor the past, protect the present, and safeguard the future. The river continues to flow, carrying both scars and hope. Its voice is faint, but not lost, calling on those who live beside it to remember, to respect, and to act. As long as the Ravi flows, the chance remains.